Hey, welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to interview John Roman. He's an entrepreneur, investor, and currently serves as CEO of BattlBox. It's an amazing company, and he will tell you more about it in a minute. Before jumping into e-commerce and investing, he had a successful career in building B2B sales teams in the software space for multiple companies. How cool is that? I was in the software space for many years as well. So this will be a great interview, very actionable. So if you are listening to this or watching this, get a pen and paper or your laptop and start writing down because it will be full of lessons. No pressure, John. By the
Yeah, all
way,
the pressure.
it's a pleasure to have you here, John. How are you doing?
I'm good, Brian. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's gonna be good today.
Yeah, so off the record, I was saying that I I recently saw you giving a lot of value in a call hosted by Jordan West. So Jordan, thank you for that because I learned a lot from John thanks to you. So I hope that the audience can get at least that value in this conversation. But before doing that, don't you tell them more about you and BattleBox?
Sure. So BattlBox is a outdoor and adventure brand. So think everything outdoors, from camping, hiking, survival gear. Literally, if it has to do with outside or survival, it could come in a BattlBox. So the majority of our business, the majority of revenue comes through a monthly membership. So traditional subscription box with gear inside that we procure, and with that also comes the membership, which gives exclusive access to our community, exclusive access to the Battle Vault, where we have additional value add services, and that's it. It's very straightforward. It's a little bit of different approach of how we got here. So we've always led with two pillars, and that's content and community. So we've always focused on putting out quality content and building community, and that's kind of our secret sauce, if you will. If you look at, we don't view ourselves in the subscription box industry, but the reality, we are a subscription box, even though we view it as much more than that. But you look at that niche in e-com over the last couple years as the normalization has occurred, and a lot of the brands are down 20, 30, 40, 50%. A lot are out of business. It's been a challenging niche, but that has not happened to us, right? We've continued to grow, and if we had to attribute it to something, it is with certainty the customer experience and focusing on community building and pushing out content.
Amazing. So in a few sentences, you just mentioned a lot of things that many brands are not doing. And I'm going to ask you about each of those in a minute. But before doing that, I wanted to ask you, you said also that many brands, had to close their doors or are struggling. So what do you think the main reason for their struggle is currently? Is it profitability? Is it that they should be doing more than they are doing because it's not 2020 anymore? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a few of the same things for everybody, right? So, as same we saw with technology companies and SaaS companies when they saw um that uptick during the pandemic, right? Everybody scaled. E-commerce brands, direct to consumer brands attempted to scale too, right? And whether it's cash flow issues because they purchased too much inventory, whether it's the post iOS world where customer acquisition is too expensive, um, or they got to a level of success during the pandemic that just wasn't realistic, right? Um, there was a lot of products and companies that blew up during the pandemic, and some didn't necessarily weren't necessarily product market fits. In today's world, there are product market fits when you're locked in your house and you're not allowed to leave and you want to spend money online, right? um and then you fast forward to today, and yeah, I don't know if we're allowed to say we're in a global recession, but it's definitely a economic um situation, right? Consumer spending is down significantly, and that's not good, right? You look at the need want scale, and if you're on the side of want, it's tough, right? There's crumbs that a bunch of companies are all vying for, all fighting for. So I think it's a combination of all those things. And you know, the metas of the world aren't making it any easier with rising costs of CPMs and CPCs.
What can brands do about that? The rising costs.
Yeah, so you know, there's a bunch of different ways you can attack that, right? You can work on your own margins and make economic sense. You can do what we do, which is easier said than done, and it takes years to execute. Much like, you know, an SEO play where you're building for tomorrow and future years. That's what we did with content, right? So we're pushing out content on all the major channels, and it's sometimes even unique to that channel. And what we're doing, we're not selling. We're just showcasing, you know, what we love, which is the great outdoors and survival gear. So it's just us being genuine and educating. And what that does is that creates a which is very, it sounds counterintuitive when you think about traditional ecom, where you're caring about getting that person to the site, converting them immediately, you know, from seeing ads 72 hours, you're trying to close and bridge that gap from 72 to 48. It's a much different approach, right? 50% of our current members knew about us for greater than 6 months before they actually pulled the trigger on a membership. So it's just a much different play. It's a long game.
How do you know that? Is it through a post-purchase survey?
Post purchase survey. And then, you know, we have some attribution software too that tells a similar story and shows us all of the dozens of touch points that occur in that journey.
Yeah, I'm asking you on purpose because, many of people listening or watching, they and people we work with as well, they just don't know many of this stuff. When you started
Sure.
talking, after you said hello, you dropped a lot of value without even noticing, probably, right? Because you're used to
Right.
talking about, oh yeah, we just have, a membership, like a community, and we have that, and we know this about our audience, and it's like those things are not normal. I don't know, just for the context, for those listener watching these, they have over 700K subscribers in their YouTube channel. I don't know how many followers on Instagram, TikTok, but I imagine a lot as well. So these guys are doing their homework, and that's why I love this conversation, and I think all of us can learn from John and his team. So I'll start asking you about the community side, because whenever I visit the website, I feel that nothing wrong with that. It's a website, and I have products. It's what I expect from an e-commerce brand. But that doesn't happen, at least to me, when I visit your website. I feel like overwhelmed in a good way by all the content and things that I have to see. Like, I know instantly that you have a community, that you have these videos, that you have missions, that you have, like, it's like whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, it feels like the store is a part of that, right? Was
Yeah.
that intentional?
It is. And the funny part, it is optimized for conversion rate. It's a slightly different journey.
Yeah.
But we do have, if you go down certain paths, we get you to checkout very, very quickly. Um, but you know, we know that if you're going down that path, you're already ready and you've made the buying decision in your head already. So it can take you a bunch of different paths, but it's all been optimized and it's continually being tested. Right now we have, you know, multiple tests running on different landing pages and the home page. We constantly test. It's obnoxious how much testing we do.
And for those thinking, I mean, guys, seriously, go check them out on YouTube. I mean, of course, everything will be in the show notes, as always, like the links to every single channel they have, because it's worth it. But what came first, like the community, the YouTube channel?
Sure. So the community came first. Um, so off the jump, and it's obviously changed. It's changed from what it used to be. So with launch, we had battlebox.com and we had battleboxforum.com. And battlebox forum was a Reddit style pro board, open to everybody. So regardless of being a member or not, you could join it. And it was just putting like-minded individuals, people that love the outdoors, people that love survival gear, campers, hikers, etc. And it was just a place for them to all hang out and meet each other. And that started initially at the same time we launched in 2015, early 2015. And we had the YouTube channel off the rip too, but it wasn't the size that it is now. We obviously didn't have the other channels like TikTok. Um, but our initial strategy in launch was we sent out about 30 battle boxes out to YouTube reviewers. So we instantly had some organic play going on the YouTube channel. And we just focused on the community, and we were all in there every day, and we still are every day in that community. And now we transitioned off that. We're in a Facebook group now. It's members only, so you have to be an active member to be in there. It's not free for everyone anymore. It's just free to members. But we're still in there all every day. There's probably on any given day 6 to 8 BattlBox employees that are in there, including myself, engaging, talking to people. So it's a pretty cool experience. Now on the content side, we didn't have the content right away. We had other people's content, and we had all these people doing YouTube reviews, and we to date ourselves on lack of conversion rate optimization in 2015, we had a pre-purchase survey. So stop, don't give us money yet. Tell us how you heard about us. Which, you don't know what you don't know back then. And the pre-purchase survey had a other option, right? So the usual suspects, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and other. And we saw that the first couple of months, there was maybe 15-20% of people clicking other and writing Curran 1776. So we went, Googled it, found him on YouTube. He was reviewing our boxes, but he wasn't on our spreadsheet. He wasn't one of the 30 we chose to send a box to for free. He was a paying customer in our biggest tier, the Pro Plus, which is now roughly 200 after sales tax and shipping. And he was a paying customer. So we reached out to him and said, hey, we want you to keep doing this, but we're just going to give you the box for free. And, that went that way. And then after a couple months, we said, hey, we're continuing to see this. So we're going to give you $500 a month. Keep doing, the box is still free. And, make sure the video's on this date, and make sure that if you have an issue with a product, you let us know. And then after that, it was, hey, do you want to move you, your wife, and your 3 kids down to Georgia and just do content full time for us? And the content piece for him was a hobby. It was his nighttime activity to decompress from work. He worked in HVAC for over 20 years. So this was like a massive career change, and he did it, and he jumped on. And as soon as he came on board full time in late 2016, it was off to the races. All of a sudden, instead of doing one piece of content a month, that was this 30-45 minute review, we're going to, how much content can we do? Can we do 3 or 4 pieces a month? Then, hey, can we do 5 or 6? And he was going, he was farm to table, right? So he was the camera guy, he was the creator, he was the editor, he was the guy posting. Obviously things are different now. We have a team, we have 3 full-time video editors. We have assistants. He's just in front of the camera now. But for a while he was farm to table.
The guy with a long beard you're talking
Yeah,
about?
but his handle online was Curran 1776. His name is Brandon Curran.
Brandon, amazing. I mean, I can tell I know nothing about outdoors, but I can tell the guy is passionate about what he's doing.
And that's the truth, right? He genuinely loves this stuff, and he's the cool thing is he's just genuine, and I think that's part of the secret sauce, right? Like, he's a straight shooter. He's not gonna try to sell something. He's just gonna go on camera and do what he loves. And when someone's able to go on camera and do what they love, like, people can tell. People can tell when you're genuinely excited about something, and it's contagious, right? You like him. You're like, wow, what a cool guy. Like, I like this guy.
This is a perfect example for, well, first off, thank you for that breakdown because guys listening and watching, you have the evolution of this process right here, like of at least content creation from nothing to what they are doing right now. It's a great process, a great breakdown. So thank you for that. And second, for this is something to think about for those that, like, I have, for example, a few clients who are shy and they just don't want to be on camera. They will do great. I mean, I think they would do great on camera, but they
Sure.
seem like they have, I don't know, a yoga apparel brand or some other brands. It's like, no, and it's like they could be creating amazing content related to their audience that they will love, but they can't. So in this case, you brought someone else. Again, it wasn't a coincidence. You put something out there. In this case, a survey. It doesn't matter right now whether it was the right thing to do or not, like a pre-purchase.
Right.
But the fact is that thanks to that pre-purchase survey, probably you missed like out of, I don't know, getting a few conversions, but you got something much bigger, right? And you could identify by measuring and being intentional on knowing what's happening on every single channel where things are coming from, and land and of course taking care properly of the person that was doing everything for you
Right.
guys.
And
And
it's a mutually beneficial thing, right? It truly is becoming this creators economy now. And these creators are so important to everything because consumer behavior dictates that, right? The we're talking about the need want scale. The closer stuff is to the want side and not the need side, they want to form some sort of connection with the brand or the individual. They want that connection, and that's what you get with creators, right? Especially when you can find one that's genuine and actually loves the stuff. Like, there you go.
exactly, and the most important part, that at least the way I see it, is that you can look or start by looking into your customer base. This guy was a customer, a high pay, like in the highest tier, as far as you said, right? So I always say the same, like start by, you know, email your customers, call your customers, try to assess with the stats who buys the most with you. Try to see if they do something about it. I was going to ask you if you use, I don't know if back then, but currently do you use a tool like a refunnel or any other to see who is posting something interesting about you guys and repurposing that or getting in touch with them?
Are you talking like for like UGC or?
Yes, but in this case, like, yeah, it could be UGC, but yeah, from, real clients, let's say, or not, depending, right?
Yeah, so I mean UGC and stuff. So the software we use for social scheduling also listens. So it
Yeah.
pulls all mentions, and then obviously that goes into it script and put in a data repository for us to repurpose. As far as interacting with customers, you touched on that. That's huge, right? You want to interact with your customers, not because like, oh, you should interact with them. No, like talk to them. Like they've done something very, very, very important, which is they've taken out their wallet and they've read you a likely 16-digit code on a computer and decided to give you money every month. Like that's a big deal. So talk to them, find out why, find out how you can do better, find out, if they were putting the items in the box, what would they put in there? Like have the very real conversations because they'll they'll tell you they'll tell you the truth and they'll tell you how to serve them better. And if you can serve them better, then all the metrics increase on the good side, right? Retention goes up, churn goes down. It's such an easy task, but we get kind of trapped in that mindset that, oh, we know what's best. We know what the best product is. Like, no, we don't. Like we can test it and make sure it's up to a certain level of quality, but let's ask our customers what they want. So you look at any given box every month, there's at least one product in every box that one of our customers actually submitted to us. And we give them a shout out. We say, hey, it's Ben from Cheyenne, Wyoming, and he recommended this product. And if they recommend it, we obviously get samples and we actually do test it and make sure it's up to a certain level of quality. And if it passes the test, then it has to make financial sense. And then if all that happens and, the companies can figure out how to manufacture a large amount, then it makes its way in the box.
Yeah, it's with companies like yours and UpB and some others have in common. I have the pleasure of I had the pleasure of interviewing Ronak Shah a few years ago here in the pod, and even back then they were saying that they released the flavors that that their community votes the most, right? So it's probably something like that. As long as you can do it as a company, it makes sense to deliver what your customers are telling you that they are going to buy.
Yeah, it's
Yet,
not a novel concept, yet people don't do it. But it's to your point, like why would you not?
so what are some, I don't know, let's say 2 to 3 more use case scenarios for a community?
So what other ways to build community or
No, sorry, my bad. What other ways to leverage a community? One is for product creation. Another could be for getting feedback, for improving whatever in the company messaging website, etc. What else, if anything, do you get from the community that you
um
use?
yeah, I mean it's literally all aspects of the business. I think they can shine, a wild this is not a usual example, but a really cool example is back to 2015. So we're going into Labor Day weekend. Um no surprise to you since we had a pre-purchase survey. We were also only advertising exclusively on Facebook.
Right.
It was a different time. So, 99% of our traffic was was Facebook and 1% was YouTube organic. So we're going into Labor Day weekend and we get it's like Friday at like 6 p.m. Eastern time. All of our ads and in fact our ad account done, shut down, canceled, killed, no working. Well, we hadn't ran across this yet, so we don't know what to do. Spoiler alert, getting Facebook on the phone for resolution of this is not something that's possible. Or at least it wasn't for us, right? It's difficult sometimes. We didn't have agencies have partner managers which are a little bit more responsive. Typically, when you're a consumer, you have an account manager maybe, and they're probably only your account manager for 90 days. And it's this revolving window most times, and it's typically entry level. So you're not getting a great experience, right? They have a script and a book they're reading of you of trying to get you to spend more money. It's not a good experience.
Yes.
So you know, good luck us. So we're going everywhere trying to figure out how are we going to fix this. And we went to our community. So we went to at the time the BattlBox forum, and we said, "Hey guys, anybody know anybody at Facebook? Because like our ad accounts just got shut down." And one of our customers worked at Facebook and was a couple like rows over or offices over from the cubicles of the manual um team that like actually were
No way.
responsible. Yeah.
Amazing.
He like at like 11 a.m. he was like, "Yeah, I'll walk over there at lunch and see like if I can figure something out." And like 3 hours later, he posted in the group, he's like, "Yeah, I just talked to him. They're gonna manually look at it and like see what the deal is." And like an hour after that, we were back on. Mind blowing. But there you go, right? Like the community can accomplish anything. Like you treat them like an extended family. And you never know when they're going to surprise you. It could be, um, one of them could work at a fulfillment center and we're having a West Coast issue and all of a sudden it's a new partner, or maybe we're having an issue with an agency and they work for an agency. Like it can go in any direction.
No, I love that. I'm curious about something you said. You said that back then Facebook was like 99% of your traffic and organic was 1%. What does that look like now?
So after we realized having all your eggs in one basket is not a wise move. We immediately said, okay, we need to diversify. We had pretty ambitious goals that aren't um we still strive for them, but the reality is we don't consistently hit the goal, and the goal is having at all times at least 6 different sources, and you don't want any of them being more than 16, 0.6 repeating percent of your traffic source for top of funnel. The reality is, while we have all these different sources, if we find an ad campaign that's working on Facebook, or we find a campaign that's working on TikTok, we're going to try to scale it. So, possibly for a few weeks or even months, if it's good, stuff might be out of whack. So, still, fortunately, unfortunately, Meta continues to most months, um, if not all, is the major one, right? It might be 40% of our new traffic, sometimes 50%. TikTok occasionally will shine. It hasn't shined this year enough, but there were a couple months last year where it took the #1 spot for a small period of time. But then, all the usual suspects. So obviously Google and Google Ads and everything in that umbrella. And then organic, obviously is a big play. And then there's a weird amount of traffic that comes top of funnel from social. Um, and that not necessarily, they're typically in the beginning process of deciding if they want to go with BattlBox or just trying to better understand who we are. And then they convert, but they obviously convert directly. Or it's an ad that, it might even be a prospecting ad, but it is truly reprospecting, and it's an offer that's just getting them over the hill to convert.
When it comes to Meta, what are your ads about mostly? Are they thought for top of the funnel, or like, let's say they are not aware of who you guys are, or they are, how do you structure them?
Yeah, so we typically run 2 different types. So the reality is the majority of our I think you look at best practices, there some people could argue 80/20, some could argue 90/10, or some might even try to say 95/5 on prospecting for reprospecting. We're uber majority prospecting. The reality is, though, because it's such a long time span, a lot of that prospecting is still reprospecting. It's
Mhm.
just, as far as Facebook's concerned, it's the first time they've seen it. So we run in two different voices. One is, and they'll see both ads, and it's simply educating on what BattlBox is. And then the other set is very simple on, hey, you know who BattlBox is. Like, it's time, this is the offer to get you over the hill. Like, you've been looking for a reason to sign up for BattlBox. Today's the day. And it's a dual approach of both.
Okay, and I have now two questions in one. Sorry
Okay.
in advance. Like, the first one is, how do you measure your efforts across channels, and what metrics are you guys obsessed about?
Sure. So, you know, we still look in platform sometimes, to get like a health check on what in platform is saying. And then we check it against, unfortunately, a bunch of other places as well. So we use Northbeam for attribution. There's other options. Like, most
Yeah.
people use Triple Whale. Um, Northbeam um is a better onboarding experience for us, and they hold our hand a little bit more to make sure we're utilizing the platform to its true potential. So that's why we're with them. We'll occasionally look in GA4. And then we'll also look at post-purchase survey. And we'll try to look at all of these data spots to see if there's any anomalies to the story that we're seeing. And if not, if they're all kind of telling the same story, then it's a trust but verify model. And the platforms, aren't necessarily wildly off anymore. And if they are, we're able to verify and validate that they are. That was the first question. What was the second question?
Which metrics are you guys obsessed about?
Oh, um, so right now, um, and I say right now as if it's new, it's not. We obviously, on the acquisition side, we care about customer acquisition costs. So we manage everything to CAC and not a ROAS, not a return on ad spend. Because we'll pick up, onesie twosie one-time orders that aren't membership, aren't subscription, but the focus is subscription, and the metric we look at is customer acquisition costs. All those one-time orders we get are just icing on the cake. We're not managing towards those per se. So CAC matters a lot. In that same lens, there's two things we look at, and that's LTV, which is obviously very, very paramount. We also look at something we call total total lifetime value, and it's a term that we're using. It's not like a necessarily a universal term. So LTV, we're looking at the total value of them in the membership revenue. So we're making all those decisions on acceptable CAC based on the LTV of them as a member with the subscription box. And then we also have these ancillary additional products we can sell a consumer. So as an example, and this is our actual numbers, our LTV for membership is about, I think, like $660, $670. But if you look at the total LTV, it includes all the one-time products they'll buy from us too, we're right at about 1,000. So it's a nice additional uplift. But we manage the CAC to the LTV membership. So we know that, how can we acquire this customer profitably as a member? And then we know we can also then get all the ancillary additional ones as well. So there's a long answer for LTV. Another metric, and it's unique for us being a membership, but others that aren't doing a subscription could look at just frequency. We're looking at how many orders per customer that on average, and we're trying to inch that number up. We report on a weekly, and we watch it religiously. We're trying to get as many orders as possible.
I'm curious, how do you, because we use a tool and I will speak about that in a sec, but I wanted to hear from you first. Do you use a tool other than, Shopify, because they are not, they are amazing, but they don't have a lot of great reports to understand, the time between orders, what people buy in each order. So how do you look at that, like the orders in an X amount of time and so many other insights?
Sure. So we're really playing around on two places for that. One, so we use Recharge for our subscription billing, and Recharge's their data has gotten a lot better. I know, years ago, we've been with them for a long time. Their analytics weren't great off the jump, but they've really stepped them up, and you can get very, very granular, and you can see all the data. So all those numbers I gave you are straight out of Recharge. We'll also occasionally use an app called Lifetimely, which I like because of a couple things. You can put some additional things, data points in there, like your warehouse costs and your product costs
Yeah.
and your credit card processing rate.
You have the
And
whole P&L thing there, yeah.
and you get a nice daily email every morning that's telling you, kind of a high level. This is your revenue. This is how much you spent on TikTok and Facebook and Google, and this was your blended CAC, and you lost $9,000 today, and whatever it is. And so I like it. It's a simple tool, but I really like it mainly because of that.
Yeah. I came across that tool earlier this year through a new client that was answering my questions in the discovery call, like super accurately. And I don't typically get those accurate answers. And I was saying, how the heck do you know all of this? And they were
Right.
saying, okay, I have this tool. And then I started using that tool and I loved it because, again, I don't know if Recharge is also meant for non-subscription brands, but
It's only a subscription. So at that
right.
point, you need a tool.
Right, exactly. So I was saying, like, how on earth, uh, how did I miss on this information all this time?
Right.
Like, I can see what product types or products they buy on each order, what they are. I mean, I know Shopify encourages, the marketplace, but if you have a report, have it right. Like they have like the basket analysis or cart analysis report, and that
Uh,
says nothing. I don't know if you remember how the report looks like, but it's like this is
yeah,
not a serious report. Like I cannot filter by time, product, or whatever. I can see what you want to show me, and just because. And that tool says, tells you the information on what people bought with each order, what they bought, and on the first one, and then if they bought, I don't know, pants on the first one, they bought 40% bought another pant in the second one, and 30% a top or whatever, right?
yeah.
So that
It'll show you the journey. It'll say most people who buy pants, 20% then buy this shirt, and it's a really cool tool. And if you don't have a subscription, you need a tool like that. You need to understand the
yeah,
journey.
yeah, it's amazing. So I wanted to touch base on something else, which is TikTok shops. I know you said that you do TikTok and it's not shining for you right now, but TikTok shops is something that everyone is talking about, and it looks like, well, with the announcements last week on the Google Marketing Live as well, like, and the new efforts from Meta's and to relaunch shops or to improve them again. So it looks like that's probably the present and the future of e-commerce in the next few years, like these new channels, like social shopping, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
How did you guys start? Like really quickly, how did you guys start there, and what do you guys do to keep it alive? Because I know that it's super like a manual job. It's not something that like an ad campaign that you create and you let it run. So yeah, please.
Yeah. So, yeah, so we were somewhat early to TikTok shop, but then we ended up not launching right away. So, if you look at TikTok, taking it a step back, so in February 2020, right before the pandemic, grabbed the BattlBox TikTok handle. Hey, we're gonna do something here. We had a username password. We didn't even log in for over a year. In February 2021, we were like, okay, we've got to figure this out. And we felt we had already missed the bus at that point, but the reality is we hadn't missed it at all. So we knew that it was really, really clear this vertical content, short form video content was something special, and it was kind of where everything was moving towards. So we just, through trials and tribulations and testings, we continued to throw stuff against the wall, trying to get something to fit. And it was, 99% failure. And then every once in a while, we'd get that 1 out of 100 that would perform well, and it would move the baseline of expectations to the next one. And we built on top of that. By the end of 2021, so, 6, 8 months or 8 months or so, 9 months into this journey, we had, I think, a couple 100,000 people. Like, we were figuring this out, but then we caught wind and understood that, Meta and Google were concerned about TikTok, and all of a sudden they were going to change their algorithms, where on YouTube with YouTube Shorts or Instagram with Instagram Reels, if you were putting vertical content, video content on there, the algorithm was going to treat it like it was probably better content than it actually was. So we had this, you know, more than close to a year worth of short form videos we had been doing exclusively for TikTok. So we started posting them on the other channels. So YouTube, we were in December 2021, we were at 55,000 YouTube subscribers. Um, and in the course of 6 months, 7 months, we were up to like 400, 500,000 because of the short form content. And Instagram, we were at maybe 50,000, I think, and we're over 100,000 now. Um, so I say all of that to say we're going through a very similar version of that right now. So TikTok rolls out TikTok Shop. They're subsidizing the heck out of it to try to ensure that it's successful. I don't think anybody envisioned that we would be such laggers to China's behavior with live shopping, but in typical North American style, we're a little bit late to the game. So they're, making these extreme subsidies to kind of make it successful. But now they're pulling the subsidies back, and it looks like it still has enough momentum where it might work. So at that point, Google with YouTube and Meta with Facebook and Instagram, they're gonna replicate it, right? That's what they love to do. So I think it opens up an interesting opportunity where, with that announcement last week, we're dual focused. Like right now, we're continuing down this sprint with TikTok Shop, but at the same time, we're running the same sprint with YouTube Shorts, because it's going to be very, very similar. They're rolling out the secret sauce of it, which unfortunately took us months to figure out, was it wasn't our content that was going to be the home run on there. We'd make a post, we'd include a product, tag it to the TikTok shop, and we'd get 1 or 2 sales, or better yet, 0. It wasn't until we figured out it was a numbers game and it was affiliates. And you could run so much faster. You look at our TikTok shop revenue, probably 90% of it, 95% of it is affiliates. And I think that's the major unlock that YouTube shopping and YouTube is going to include, is this affiliate piece. And you already go on YouTube today, you can already see it.
Yeah.
So they're gonna juice the algo too, to treat it a lot better than they probably should, to try to catch up. Um, so I think this is the time. Like if someone's seeing this and you're not on TikTok shop or YouTube, whatever they're gonna call it, shopping, or just YouTube shop, I don't know. You need to be on it. Like it's such a great opportunity because the algorithms are juicing it. And Google might have subsidies too. That wouldn't be out of line for them to subsidize it a little bit to try to ensure its success.
That's amazing. So that's a key thing for everyone that wants to go into that journey with TikTok shops to know, which is affiliates like should be the focus for getting traction there. Is there
And
anything
it's
else?
it's super straightforward, right? So TikTok, give credit where credit's due. TikTok made a really very easy to use platform. Like you literally sign up for it, you open up the affiliates, you can literally browse all of
Yeah.
these creators that are on TikTok already that have raised their hand and said, "Hey, I want to create content for you." And you have a commission, and through the program you can send them product, and track it, and they can get the product. Like they've made it a very, very, very easy to use platform where it's not a big lift, right? Like, okay, to your point of the yoga instructor that doesn't want to make content. Well, if she has a product outside of the classes that she could sell, maybe it's just brand swagger or whatever, or maybe she wants to have a product line. She doesn't have to be in front of the camera. She literally can find these people and streamline it. It's such a huge opportunity.
Any other advice to give to anyone looking to get started on TikTok shops?
Just go and do it. It's not that difficult. They've done a really good job streamlining it and making it a good opportunity. But it's like anything on TikTok or any content in general. It's a numbers game and it's a consistency game. And just because you don't have success after week 1 or success after week 3, like don't give up. As long as you still think that the signal's there, that this is still an opportunity, and it's right now it's an opportunity. The only thing in the short term that could stop it from being an opportunity is if the US government, actually tries to do this ban.
Think,
That's the only thing in the short term that could stop it.
yeah. Do you think it will happen?
I don't. Um, I I mean, it you would think that the government would have a better understanding of technology, but like watching some of the hearings and listening to the questions is like it's very, I hate to say the word cringe, but it is. It's like, wow, like you're you guys are in charge of our country?
Yeah,
That's
and
not
I think
good.
they gave them like 90 days to sell or go,
Yeah, and I think they
Or-
initially said, okay, well, we'll sell the platform, but no algorithm, which
Exactly.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
it's not any good without the algorithm. That is
Ex-
TikTok's secret sauce, is the algo. Like, it is by far better than anyone else's. It is a phenomenal algorithm.
exactly. Yeah. So you've been pretty generous, and I don't want to take much of your time. I just have like two final questions for you. Like,
Okay.
this is like something that we have already discussed here on the show, but I always love asking some guests here when I see it could be a good fit because everyone gives their perspective. So, for example, it all started when I interviewed, I think 3 years ago, one 10-year executive of Disney, and he now works as a consultant, or back then at least as a consultant, to Disneyfy experiences with customers, B2B and B2C, both of them. So it's all about, as he said, mapping out the customer journey and creating a wow factor or adding a wow touch to the experience. It could be a handwritten note, it could be something else. And although there are many automated touch points nowadays, and that's the way the world works, and we can scale that way, there are some simple yet effective actions that companies can still do manually, like calling customers or something like that. Do you guys do something like that that is not to do with technology or automation and just the real human touch?
Yeah, yeah, so we do. So yeah, so we do all the things you said, right? There's automations, and we know that if you're looking at a customer journey between the third and fourth month, there's a little bit fallout, an anomaly to the scale, to the sliding scale. So we have a automated email with a coupon code at that point. All the automations, absolutely. But you're right, you have to have a human element. So we have a few, some some are extreme, and no one listening is going to replicate it. But they should. But then there's some easy ones. So we have
Okay, okay.
a
Sorry. Let me stop you. I want to know about extreme. You mentioned extreme, but you're not going to mention
okay.
them.
Okay, so I'll talk about the easy one, and we'll talk about the extreme.
Okay,
So
okay,
an easy one for and this isn't everybody thing, but this is a wow your customers piece. So our whole CS team, they have a budget, a monthly budget, that they have to spend. It's frowned upon if you do not spend it all. And what it is to surprise and delight customers. So they're the frontline soldiers. They're talking to our customers every day. And typically, if they're talking to them, there's some sort of event or issue. They're not Customers don't typically always just reach out to say, "Hey, great job," right? That's not how it works. So it's typically an issue. So just identifying um issues where we can go above and beyond. Um, I'll give an example. Customer reached out. They had been with us for a couple of years, and they had a house fire and lost a bunch of their stuff in the basement, which is where they had our gear. And they weren't reaching out asking for anything. They were saying, "Hey, I need to do an address change. We had a house fire." And just us being humans and interacting, we realized that they had lost a bunch of stuff. So without anything being said, we hit up our warehouse and grabbed a bunch of our past gear and shipped them, like a dozen past boxes. Um, you know, it they didn't ask for it. But this customer had been with us for a very long time. Little things like that. We had a customer that just posting randomly in the members only group, was asking for, thoughts and prayers and warm wishes. Their little girl was having a surgery. Um, and they were just looking for support, right? But maybe sending flowers to the little girl, or sending a teddy bear. It's little things like that, um, that I think really showcases that we're all humans and we're all in this together. Um, so that's an easy thing that you can do, right? It's the same as picking up the phone. So a lot of times we have certain tags where, depending on total spend or total duration with us, you get certain tags in our ticketing system. And if they're over um a certain category, it's just fix it. Like, it doesn't matter if we're right, if they're wrong, customer is right at this point. fix it, go above and beyond, no questions asked. You have the autonomy as a CS rep to make them happy again. And then we have another tier where if something goes right, it's pick up the phone and call them. Like, let's show that we're humans and let's fix whatever the problem is. So, and those are just baked into our process, and they're all very manual. But I think when to say you actually care about your customers, and if you're not doing stuff like that, do you really care? It goes so much further. I mean, what a cool. It isn't. I can't think of if it's ever. I guess it's happened to me before. Like where as a consumer, I'm buying something and I have like a really great experience. But like, think about how that makes you feel. Like, oh my gosh, like the brand loyalty at that point. Um, we one of our vendors that we use for one of our technologies, randomly knew that I had moved into a new home, and they sent a housewarming gift, this really cool kitchen knife, but it was just a nice little touch, right? But like instantly that feeling that I got and my loyalty to that brand afterwards, like I'm not leaving them unless something bad happens, right? It just goes so far. I'll go quick on the things no one else is gonna do. Um, let's see. So last year we put 5 of these golden tickets in all the boxes that went out that month. If you got a golden ticket, we flew you to Texas. We met you there. We hung out with you, buy you some dinner and drinks that evening. The next morning, we put you on a bus. We went about 2 hours into rural Texas, and there were 5 golden ticket winners. We put all 5 of them in a World War II tank. They shot the tank downrange at a target. If they hit the target, we were going to give them $100,000. There was no, we announced this after the renewal happened, which meant that if you saw this and you weren't a BattlBox customer, there was 0% chance of you getting a golden ticket. It wasn't possible. This was only for existing customers. You didn't want it to even be perceived as a sales tactic at all. It was a surprise and delight.
Wow. Did anyone win the 100,000?
No, which sucks because we really wanted someone to, and it was
But
we
the
did
experience for them is amazing. I mean, everything
yeah, I mean
you
they still hung out with us. Then we gave them a year of the Pro Plus box, which is roughly 2,500 a year. So we gave them a free year, but nobody won. We're doing something this year in September, and it's going to be bigger, and we'll guarantee there'll be a guaranteed winner with this one.
amazing. Okay, so John, you've been amazing.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for all the value. Full disclosure for everyone listening or watching, it's the first episode out of, I don't know, 150-ish that I didn't even read the questions. It just flowed, at least for me, really naturally. And I had already in mind many things that I wanted to ask you. So I wanted to thank you for that because you made it really easy for me and I hope for the audience as well.
Yeah, this was great. I hope there were some good takeaways in it.
Yeah, a lot. Before we go, 2 questions for you. One, do you have a book to recommend to the audience? It could be a business book or a non-business book.
Um, Yeah, there's one I read it years ago. It's called The Signal and the Noise. It's good because so it's exactly what the title suggests, right? So there's signal and there's noise. And a lot of times in business we get lost in the noise, right? An upset customer or 3 upset customers are complaining about a product and we're like, "Oh, the product must be bad," but they're this super loud super minority. And it's just noise in that example, right? Like the other 99% of customers are loving the product. And sometimes we get lost and we take the noise for face value and we miss the signal. So it just kind of talks about how to look at data and how to better understand and define the two, which allows you obviously to lead and make decisions more efficiently and effectively.
Amazing. I love it. And I will make sure I read it because I love those topics. So thank you for sharing that. And before we go,
Yeah.
where can people go to learn more about you and BattleBox? BattleBox, I know there are plenty of ways to get in touch with the brand. So I'll make sure to include everything in the show notes. But about you, where can
Yeah.
they go for you?
Yeah. So yeah, the BattlBox side will include things that you can also watch. You can go to Netflix and type in BattlBox and watch our TV show.
Yes.
Um, the best ways to get in touch with me, I'm very active on LinkedIn. And I have a blog called onlinequeso.com, which is probably 80% me, 20% guests, other people in the e-commerce space. Just talking about best practices, what's working, what's not working. There's a focus. At times you see online in the e-com space, there's a lot of toxicity and people only talk about the winning and the
Yeah.
wins, which bothers me. It to my like it hurts me a lot. Like I don't like to see that. So there's a focus on talking about the losses, right? Because I'm a firm believer that the L's you take are it's where you learn and you get the
Yeah.
learning as you need to get the wins later. And I think society as a whole, we don't do a good enough job sometimes talking about all the losses. Because spoiler alert, there's a lot more losses for everybody than there are wins. Um,
Yeah.
but if we just talk about the wins, it sets an unrealistic, unattainable goal at times. So the blog online queso, and then in the next couple of weeks, we're launching a podcast. So it's called Awesome. It's spelled ASOM. There's four of us, and it's and someone that runs an agency, someone that runs a SaaS platform, software platform, an operator, which is me, and then a marketer. So it's four different perspectives on traditional e-commerce stuff. So it's we filmed them all in person. We filmed the first four already, and it's just really cool to see four different perspectives on traditional topics, and it's some pretty cool insights. So I'm excited about that.
Amazing. When is the launch date?
I believe it's mid-June.
Amazing. And is it one topic per episode or is it
Yep. Yeah, one topic per episode. Each episode's around an hour.
looking forward to it? So again, John, it was great having you here. Thanks a lot for the value you provided to the audience and for those listening or watching. Again, if you go to the DTCinsider.com and click on the episode, unless you are already there, you will see everything that John mentions. Again, thank you for being here. It was a pleasure.
This was fun. Thank you, Brian.